You've noticed it, haven't you? Every woman you fall for has a different name, a different face, maybe even a different background, but somehow they all end up feeling eerily the same. The relationship follows the same script, crashes against the same rocks, ends with the same familiar ache. You tell yourself you just have the type out, that you're attracted to certain physical features or personality traits. But what if I told you that what you call your type is actually your wound wearing different masks? You're about to discover why you're trapped in an endless loop of falling for the same woman over and over again, and why each relationship feels like a rerun of the last one, with slightly different actors. Carl Jung exposed the psychological mechanism that keeps you locked in this pattern, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your romantic history the same way again. The pain of this repetition goes deeper than just bad luck or poor choices. Every time you think, this one's different, only to watch the same dynamics unfold, you're not just experiencing heartbreak, you're experiencing the frustration of being trapped in a psychological prison you can't even see. The confusion, the sense that the universe is playing some cruel joke on you, the growing cynicism about love itself. It all stems from not understanding the invisible forces that are actually choosing your partners for you. Today, you'll finally understand why she always has the same psychological face beneath different features, why the ending is always written before the beginning, and most importantly, how to break free from this shadow cycle that's been running your love life since before you even knew what love was. To understand why you keep falling for the same type of woman, you first need to grasp a fundamental truth. You're not actually choosing your partners with your conscious mind. Your choices are being driven by what Jung called your unintegrated shadow and your wounded anima, unconscious patterns that were formed long before you ever went on your first date. Think back to your earliest experiences with the feminine, not just romantic experiences, but your first encounters with feminine energy. Your mother, your sisters, your early caregivers, even the feminine figures in the stories and media you absorbed as a child. These experiences didn't just give you memories, they created a psychological template that your unconscious uses to recognize love. Here's where it gets dark. If those early experiences included wounding, abandonment, rejection, emotional unavailability, criticism, smothering, or any form of emotional trauma, your psyche internalized that wounding as part of what love feels like. Your unconscious doesn't distinguish between healthy and unhealthy patterns. It simply recognizes familiarity, and familiarity, to your unconscious, equals home. This is why that initial spark of attraction feels so powerful and meant to be. When you meet a woman who activates your wound pattern, your unconscious recognizes her immediately, not because she's your soulmate, but because she fits perfectly into your unresolved psychological complex. She feels like home because she carries the same emotional frequency as your original wound. Let me show you how this works in practice. Say your mother was emotionally distant, always busy, never quite available when you needed her. You learned early that love meant longing, that affection had to be earned, that you were always reaching for something just out of grasp. Fast forward to your adult life, and who do you find irresistibly attractive? The woman who's slightly aloof, who keeps you guessing, who's never quite fully available. You tell yourself you like the challenge, that you're attracted to independent women. But what's really happening is that your wounded anima, your internalized template of the feminine, is seeking to recreate the original dynamic. Your unconscious believes that if you can finally win over this distant woman, you'll have healed the original wound with your mother. But instead, you just repeat the pattern, reinforcing the wound rather than healing it. Or consider another pattern. Maybe your early feminine experiences were with someone who was overly emotional, unstable, or used emotional manipulation to control you. You learned that love meant drama, that calm was the prelude to storm, that emotional intensity was the measure of care. Now, as an adult, you find yourself bored by stable women and magnetically drawn to those who bring chaos into your life. The shadow cycle works like this. Your wound creates a template. Your unconscious seeks matches to that template. You're drawn to women who fit the pattern. The relationship recreates the original wounding, which reinforces the template, which leads you to seek the same pattern again. It's a perfectly designed system for keeping you stuck. But it goes even deeper. Your shadow, all the parts of yourself you've rejected or repressed, also plays a crucial role in this cycle. The wounds you carry often cause you to reject certain parts of yourself. If you were abandoned, you might have rejected your own needy parts. If you were smothered, you might have rejected your desire for closeness. These rejected parts don't disappear. They hide in your shadow and project themselves onto the women you choose. This is why the same type of woman keeps appearing in your life. You're not just attracted to women who match your wound pattern. You're attracted to women who embody your shadow projections. She carries both your wound and your rejected self, making her irresistible to your unconscious, even while your conscious mind knows she's bad for you. Jung called this the repetition compulsion of the unconscious. Your psyche is trying to heal the original wound by recreating it, hoping for a different outcome. It's like watching the same movie over and over, hoping the ending will change. But the ending never changes because you're not addressing the real issue, the wound itself and the shadow material it created. Notice how these women often seem different at first. She might look nothing like your ex, have a completely different job, come from a different background. Your conscious mind gets excited. This one's different. But within weeks or months, the same dynamics emerge. She becomes distant, just like the others, or dramatic just like the others, or critical just like the others. The surface changes, but the psychological core remains identical. This isn't because all women are the same or because you have bad luck. It's because your unconscious is a master at recognizing patterns that match your template, even when they're hidden beneath different packaging. Just as you can recognize a song even when it's played on different instruments, your unconscious recognizes your wound pattern even when it's expressed through different personalities. The truly insidious part is how this cycle reinforces itself. Each failed relationship doesn't teach you to choose differently. It deepens the wound and strengthens the pattern. You become more convinced that all women are like this, or that you're just destined to be hurt. But what you're really experiencing is the same wound playing out through different actors, getting deeper with each performance. Your unconscious doesn't want you to be happy in the conventional sense. It wants you to be whole. And it believes, and mistakenly, that wholeness comes from finally resolving the original wound through repetition. It's trying to give you endless opportunities to heal, but without consciousness, these opportunities just become repetitions of pain. Here's the moment of truth that will shatter your illusions about your romantic patterns. She does seem different at first because your unconscious has become more sophisticated at disguising the same wound pattern. Each iteration of the cycle doesn't just repeat, it evolves, becoming more subtle, more convincing in its initial disguise. The woman who embodies your wound today is wearing a more elaborate costume than the one who embodied it 5 years ago. But inevitably, the mask falls. The moment always comes when she reveals herself to be the same archetype you've been dancing with your entire adult life. The independent woman becomes avoidant. The passionate woman becomes unstable. The nurturing woman becomes controlling, and you're left with that sickening feeling of, how did I fall for this again? The devastation you feel in that moment isn't just about her. It's the crushing realization that you're trapped in a pattern you can't seem to escape. The accumulation of disappointments doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your faith in love itself. You start to believe the world is conspiring against you, that you're cursed, that you'll never find real love. But here's the brutal truth. The prison isn't external. The pattern that's trapping you isn't written in the stars or determined by bad luck. It's written in your unconscious, carved there by wounds you've never fully faced and shadow material you've never integrated. The woman isn't your jailer. She's just another prisoner in the same cell, playing out her own wound patterns that happen to complement yours perfectly. When the pain becomes familiar, when you realize you felt this exact hurt before, in this exact way, with someone who seemed completely different, you're not just experiencing déjà vu. You're experiencing the ancient nature of your wound. This pain predates all your adult relationships. It's older than your conscious memory, rooted in experiences that shaped you before you had words to describe them. The woman in front of you isn't really the source of your pain. She's just the current performer in an ancient ritual, your internal drama externalized. She's playing a role that was written long before she met you, speaking lines that echo something your psyche has been trying to process for decades. The relationship isn't actually between you and her. It's between you and your unintegrated shadow, with her as an unwitting actress in your psychological theater. This is why logic doesn't work. You can make lists of red flags, set boundaries, promise yourself you'll choose differently next time, but your unconscious doesn't care about your lists. It's operating from a deeper logic, an older wisdom that says healing comes through repetition. Until you address the director of this play, your own unconscious patterns, you'll keep casting the same archetypal woman in slightly different costumes. You now stand at the threshold of the most important recognition of your romantic life. The pattern will not break by finding a different woman. It will break only when you become a different man. Not different in your surface personality or conscious choices, but different in your relationship to your own wound and shadow. The real work begins with a radical shift in perspective. Instead of asking, "Why do I keep meeting the same type of woman?" start asking, "What wound am I trying to heal through these women?" Instead of focusing on their similarities, focus on what those similarities trigger in you. The pattern they share is a map to your unconscious, showing you exactly where your unintegrated material lives. Here's what breaking the cycle actually requires. First, you must identify your core wound pattern. What was your earliest experience of love's failure? Was it abandonment, rejection, emotional unavailability, criticism, chaos? This isn't about blaming anyone from your past. It's about understanding the template that was created and recognizing how it still operates in your present. Next, you need to identify your shadow projections. What parts of yourself did you reject in response to your early wounds? If you experienced abandonment, did you reject your own needs for closeness? If you experienced smothering, did you reject your capacity for intimacy? These rejected parts are what you're projecting onto the women you choose, making them carriers of both your wound and your shadow. The cycle breaks when you stop seeking external resolution to an internal split. No woman can heal your wound because the wound isn't actually about the feminine outside you. It's about your relationship to the feminine aspects within yourself. Your wounded anima isn't seeking a woman to complete you. It's seeking integration within your own psyche. This means doing the one thing you've been avoiding your entire life, turning toward your pain instead of seeking someone to take it away. When you feel that familiar pull toward a certain type of woman, that's your signal to pause and investigate. What is she activating in you? What old pain is stirring? What rejected part of yourself is she embodying? The paradox is profound. When you stop trying to heal your wound through women, you become capable of genuine relationship. When you integrate your shadow projections, you can finally see women as they actually are, rather than as actors in your psychological drama. When you heal the split within yourself, you stop attracting women who embody that split. This doesn't mean you'll suddenly be attracted to completely different women, but the quality of your attraction changes. Instead of the desperate, compulsive pull toward women who activate your wounds, you'll experience a calmer, clearer attraction to women who complement your wholeness rather than your brokenness. The difference is unmistakable once you experience it. The journey requires courage because it means giving up a familiar friend, your wound pattern. As painful as it is, it's been with you so long it feels like part of your identity. The devil you know feels safer than the unknown territory of healing. But on the other side of this integration is freedom. The freedom to choose partners from consciousness rather than compulsion. Now I need to hear from you. What patterns do you see repeating in your romantic life? Can you identify the moment when each new woman revealed herself to be the same archetype as the last? What wound do you think your pattern is trying to heal? Share your insights in the comments. Your honesty might be the key that unlocks someone else's pattern. If this video exposed the invisible script that's been running your love life, hit the like button, subscribe and activate notifications to continue exploring these deep psychological patterns that shape our relationships in ways we rarely comprehend. Watch our previous videos on shadow work and anima projection to get the full picture of how your unconscious creates your romantic reality. The journey to breaking these patterns isn't easy, but it's the only path to genuine, conscious love. Remember, You don't have a type. You have a wound wearing different faces. The woman who keeps appearing in your life isn't your destiny. She's your unconscious trying to heal itself through repetition. But healing doesn't come from finding the right woman to complete your pattern. It comes from becoming complete within yourself. The cycle has shown you the same lesson over and over, dressed in different women, hoping you'll finally understand. The lesson isn't about them, it's about you. It's about what you're seeking outside that can only be found within. It's about the wound that chose your partners before you ever had a say. You can keep repeating. Keep hoping the next one will be different. Keep believing you're just unlucky in love. Or you can finally turn inward, face the wound that's been choosing for you, integrate the shadow that's been projecting onto every woman you've loved, and break free from the cycle once and for all. The next time you feel that familiar pull, that sense of, this is the one, remember, that's not destiny calling. That's your wound recognizing its match. The question is, will you answer the call with consciousness this time, or will you sleepwalk into another repetition? Your pattern is perfect in its consistency. It's been showing you exactly where to look, exactly what needs healing, exactly which parts of yourself need integration. The women were never the problem and they were the symptom, and symptoms don't go away until you treat the cause. Change your consciousness, and you'll change your choices. Heal your wound, and you'll stop attracting women who embody it. Integrate your shadow, and you'll stop projecting it onto every woman who stirs your heart. This isn't about finding better women. It's about becoming a more integrated man. The cycle ends when you do the work. The pattern breaks when you break through to consciousness. The same type of woman stops appearing when you stop being the same type of man, unconscious, wounded, and seeking external salvation for an internal split. Your wholeness is waiting. The only question is, how many more repetitions will it take before you finally get the message?